Hey, there we go. Okay, so welcome back to day 2 of the Mind Your Business workshop, the one factor for entrepreneurs to start attracting more wealth in their business. So I'm super excited that you guys made it back. I think that we had an amazing conversation yesterday, and it was super juicy to see how you guys were being very vulnerable about sharing your relationship with money and started to identify some of the patterns that you probably had from childhood, from some authority figures, and from the people who were influencers in the way that you were raised and the way that you grew up. A couple of you messaged me privately via email and let me know that you had great breakthroughs. So I'm really, really grateful for that, because that's the start, right? As I was saying yesterday, awareness is such an important part of the process, because if you're not aware of where you are, it's going to be very challenging for you to get to where you want to be, right? It was the example of California. Where do you go? You have to know where you're starting. You have to know what your starting point is. That is your relationship with money, so that you can move forward in your journey. So right now, before I move on, I want to ask if anyone wants to share a breakthrough that they had or your favorite part from yesterday's conversation that we had. You can post it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and go. But I love to hear if there's anything that stood out that you want to share, or I know that sometimes when I'm doing these presentations, I have my own aha moments, even though this is the material that I actually live for. This is like my 24 hours of my day. I'm always very mindful of what's happening in my awareness, but I always hear something different when I am presenting. So I would love to hear if anyone wants to share. And I'm going to have your pictures right over here. All right. Everyone's so shy today. No one's going to be brave enough to share? Oh my goodness, guys, I don't bite. Okay, so I'm just... Oh, the menu order. That's exactly what Christopher and I were just talking about, Jackie, before we started recording. It's about the menu ordering. And actually, when Gigs joined, she was sharing that that's something that she goes through as well, right? It's like you're so conditioned to be so mindful of your budgeting and how you're spending, and you don't want to spend one more dime, that you're very conscious and just look at the prices before actually ordering. So yeah, that's a good one. I think for me, one of the things that I was reminded of as I was talking was that old belief of I can't afford it. And I know I mentioned it a few times while we were having the conversation, that it keeps popping, even though I've done my work to shift it and actually change my perspective about it. But I still hear it every once in a while in the back of my head. I can't afford that, even though I probably do have the money. In the car and versus train example that I gave you yesterday, I had the money, but I had to get myself into the space of I can afford it, because it's something that comes to me very automatically. All right, so let's just get the party started. I want to start with a summary of the things that we discussed yesterday. So we talked about that the best way to predict the future is to create it. And we cannot do that if we don't know our energetic signature and the way that we're moving forward with our life. We talked about our intimate and personal relationship with money, and we actually journaled about it in the worksheet. We were discussing all the beliefs that we grew up with, that money doesn't grow on trees, money is the root of all evil, the I can't afford it part, the money is for everyone but for me. So we went over those things to get very intimately acquainted with the way that we're relating with money. We talked about how you think, feel, and behave about money determines how it flows to you. And I think that it was very clear to everybody that when you understand those automatic reactions and those automatic thoughts and behavior, that's when you know if you're creating momentum to the right way that you want to create it, or if you're going in a different direction. We talked about awareness is everything, and you're going to hear me talk about that more and more and more, because awareness is everything. When you are aware of what you're thinking, of how you're thinking it, in the moment that you're thinking it, and are aware of what the trigger is, you're going to widen that gap between thought and reaction. And once you have that gap, it is in that gap that you can choose to think different, to feel different, to go in a different direction. And as you're doing that, you're breaking the patterns of thought that you've contemplated for years and years and years, and you're creating something different. And then we talked about rewriting the rules and changing the story. And that was a part where you all journal in the worksheet about if you could define and design your relationship with money, how would that feel? How would you relate to it? How would money treat you, and how would you treat money differently? So today I'm going to switch gears a little bit, but I wanted to have this placeholder because this is going to be the starting point for today's conversation. So what I'm going to be walking you through today is something that I discovered when I was going through my own journey of starting my own business and realizing that things weren't working well, even though I was applying all the action in the world, that I had everything lined up, that I thought that I was moving in the right direction, the right strategy, and I was forgetting about my energy. So I'm not sure if I mentioned it yesterday, but I became my own science experiment. And what I mean by that is I thought that I was doing everything right. I thought that my energy was lined up in the right way, but the results weren't coming. So I wasn't getting clients fast enough, or the clients that I was getting were not aligned clients. And I kept beating myself up for that, thinking, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? I was so excited about this business idea. I was so excited and so passionate to start something, and now it's not working. So what I want to walk you through is how this works for us entrepreneurs. And I'm just going to take a sip of water. And if at some point I'm speaking too fast, let me know, because I tend to do that sometimes. So the creative cycle. I don't know if you've heard this before. I think that you probably haven't, because I made it up. And honestly, I made it up from my own observation. And as I was saying, just studying why the fuck I wasn't having the results that I wanted. So you can apply this to pretty much every new thing in your life. We're talking about business here, but it could be anything. It could be learning a new hobby, learning a new skill, taking a course, going back to university, whatever it is, like any type of creative idea that you have, you're going to go through this cycle. In some instances, it's going to be more intense. For example, starting a business, as I was saying yesterday, starting a business can be its own spiritual awakening on its own. And I am freaking proof of that, because what I went through when I started my business was nothing short of traumatic and messy and not pretty. So here's how it starts. So you can start picturing it in your imagination for either your business idea, the business that you're starting, or the business that you already have, or any type of new thing that you're planning, or any idea that you have. So I love to teach this with either one of two examples. One of them is rollerblading, and the other one is starting a business, because they're equally freaking me out. So here we go. So when you have an idea, you feel that excitement, you feel that passion, you feel that acceleration. And I'm just going to put it in mild terms. When I decided 2 years ago, so guys, I'm in my mid-40s. So 2 years ago, I was 46. And at 46, well, that makes me farther than my mid-40s, but that's just not age. Isabel. So 2 years ago, I decided that I was going to learn to rollerblade. So just imagine this midlife woman deciding that for the first time in her life, she's going to get on rollerblades, right? So how did I feel about that? First, I felt exhilarated. I felt excited. I felt, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. I live in Ottawa, which is a very outdoorsy city in the summertime, and I was seeing people rollerblading everywhere. And I thought, I'm going to be one of them. And I'm going to look so cool rollerblading. It's going to be amazing, right? So I decided that I was going to take action on it. And I bought a pair of rollerblades that were secondhand, because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. So I didn't want to spend the money on new rollerblades. So I went on Kijiji, which is a secondhand like a used items site here in Canada. I actually don't know if it's outside of Canada as well, but I bought my first pair of rollerblades. And at that point, when I took action of buying my rollerblades, I felt amazing. I felt that I'm doing something for me. I'm doing something that I'm going to love. This is going to be amazing. If every 7-year-old child can learn how to rollerblade, of course I can learn how to rollerblade. I was so excited. And the funny thing is that when I actually went to pick up my rollerblades from, it was an older lady that she had rollerbladed her entire life, but she wasn't doing it anymore. She actually said, I have all the equipment, like the safety equipment that comes with them. Like I have the elbow guards and I have the knee pads. Would you like those too? And I'm like, yes, please give them to me because I think I'm gonna need them. And then she asked me, do you want to put the rollerblades on and give and take him for a spin? And I'm like, hell no, because I don't know what I'm doing. So let me just do it in the privacy of my own street. I don't want anyone to see me doing that. But anyway, I got my rollerblades and it felt amazing. So if you're equating that in the business arena, that's when you decide, okay, I'm going to register my business. I'm going to go for it. This is something that I've been waiting for. This is something that I really, really, really want to do. You start taking action. You start to put yourself out there. You start to promote. You start to do all the things that you're inspired to do, right? You tell your friends and family that you're starting this. If you're starting a service-based business, you start using social media and you start posting about all the things that you want to do, and that makes you feel so good because it makes you feel that you're moving forward in the direction of your dreams. Then the next stage is the stage that is super challenging, and that's when you come up against the old self. That's when the insecurities show up, doubts, fears, and all the crap, right? You start having those thoughts. Did I do this right? Is this really my passion? Is this really what I want to do? Maybe I'm not so good at it. Maybe I should take a 9-to-5 job. Maybe no one wants what I have. Maybe what I'm doing is not that important. Maybe no one needs my services. And you start to have all those thoughts that go totally against stage 1 and stage 2, when you were so happy, fulfilled, passionate, and accelerated about studying something. And if you disagree with me, let me know, because I can assure you that under any new idea that is challenging and is new and exciting, you're going to encounter these at some level. And that's what I started experiencing when I started rollerblading. So I found an empty parking lot that is like a block or two from my house, and I was practicing there with my husband teaching me, and I almost broke my ass a couple times. I felt so bad. There's one of the falls that I couldn't walk or actually sit right for about 8 weeks, and I'm not kidding you. I thought, there's no fucking way in hell that I'm gonna get back on those rollerblades. Not gonna do this. This is awful. Who did I think I was? I'm so old. I shouldn't be doing this, yada, yada. So I'm coming up against myself. And it's the same thing that happened when I started my business. I started thinking, maybe people know this already. Maybe nobody needs help. Maybe I'm not so good, and all those things, right? But the beautiful thing about these, and the thing that most people miss, is that all those emotions that go against the grain, like the fears, the doubts, the frustration, the anger that you feel for not being able to follow your dream, they hold tremendous insights and tremendous information for you to move forward. So this is the way that I started to understand it, and the way that I was able to overcome these things. So step 3, so you've been asking for this beautiful idea that you had to be successful. You've been asking for the inspiration to take action on this idea. You've been asking for clients. You've been doing all the things. So you're showing up and saying, this is my dream. This is my passion. I want to do this. That's step 1 and step 2 of the creative cycle. Step 3 is life telling you, oh, really? Is this what you want? Fantastic. Let me show you all the things that you have to overcome so that you can fulfill your dream. In other words, life is telling you, well, you need to step up here and here and here so that you can open up to everything that's on the other side of those emotions, so that you can have everything that you have. But most of us get tripped up by all those thoughts and emotions that come back. And a lot of people actually at this stage is when they get back and they stop doing their business, they stop showing up fully, they stop doing the marketing, they stop doing all the things because they feel so frustrated, so fearful, and so in anger. And if they don't know how to move through those emotions, this is what stops them. But in step 3 is where your power resides, because when you know how to move through those emotions, then you actually get to step 4. Step 4 is when you actually overcome all those things and you become a different person because now you know. So there's all the uncertainty that is happening in step 3, right? And that's the difference between those people who succeed and those who don't. Because the ones who succeed are the ones that keep thinking, okay, I'm going to get right back on track. There's got to be another way. Let me change my perspective about that. Let me pivot about this. Let me see it from another angle. And they actually overcome that emotional state and they become somebody else. In other words, they change their personality to match the personality of the person who now knows how to do that. So in my case, guys, believe me, I'm not ready to go to the Olympics in rollerblading by any means. But now I can rollerblade. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I became the person who acquired the skills, left the fear, and get back on the rollerblades. And now I can rollerblade. I still have to hold on to things every once in a while, but I am much better at it. And that's the same thing with ice skating. Ice skating is actually more challenging for me, but I still got back on the skates and I kept doing it. So I became the person who now knows something else. I overcame that fear. Honestly, after my fall, the one that I told you that I couldn't sit or walk like a normal person for 8 weeks, that would have been the greatest excuse for me to quit. That would have been like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna get hurt. I'm just gonna kill myself. This is not working. I'm just gonna put those rollerblades away. I'm so glad I didn't spend money on new ones. Boom, forget about it. I don't wanna do it. But it took a lot of work because I didn't want to master rollerblading. I wanted to master myself. I wanted to master the emotions that I was having. So I challenged myself to go through the fears and work with them. And it took a lot of emotional intelligence work for me to actually get back on the rollerblades and not, well, it's not about not feeling afraid. It's about having the confidence that the more you practice, the more that you actually are going to get there. So that's the same example as a baby. Just imagine a baby that starts to walk and the baby falls and the baby falls and the baby falls. The baby doesn't think, fuck this shit, walking is not for me, I give up, right? But we as adults do that. We're like, okay, that's not for me. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to handle it. I'm just gonna move on. When in reality, this is life telling the baby, okay, this is one more step that you have to master. Okay, this is one more couch that you have to hold on to before you actually get to let go and walk. But a lot of us quit right there. So after the next slide. So this is when we're going to start to get our worksheets ready. I think everyone has it out, right? Okay, Jackie just posted it in the chat again. So I'm actually going to go to it too, because I want to read you the questions. So the creative cycle. Take some time to go over the stages of the creative cycle and jot down the top 5 emotions or states of being you were in at every stage. So think about your business. And if you are just not starting your business yet, if you haven't started taking action on it, just think about something that it was a creative idea that you had, either a hobby, a skill, a course, or anything that you did that was challenging for you, that it was a new idea for you. And just go through the 4 stages. Don't go through the last question yet after question number 4. Just go through 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to go through that. So Jackie's asking me if I'm playing the music, and I'm like, no, I chickened out. And then I realized that I sent that to everyone in the chat. But you know what? Let me try and play the music then. Let's just do that. When I hit step 3, my biggest thing was about marketing and promotion. I was terrified to put myself out there. Very freaking fied, because for me, it's very easy to, okay, Kim, is that better? I turned it down a little bit. Okay, cool, thank you. So that was my big step 3. When I started my business, I started working with someone else, and it was easy for me because we were a very good complement for each other, and he was bringing a lot of clients to my business. So I didn't have to do a lot of the marketing and promotion part. I was just left to do my coaching, being in my zone of genius. And then we pivoted away from each other, and that's when I started to have all these fears. I started to feel maybe this isn't for me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if people are going to want to see me. I'm so afraid of doing this. I don't want to put myself out there. And everybody kept saying you have to show up every day on Facebook and post. And that just felt so uncomfortable for me and so out of character. So that was my big step 3. And I had to work through that and find my own way to do things and actually line up my energy to realize that I can actually create a business from the inside, that I didn't have to follow what everyone else was saying, that I have to go through those hurdles of understanding that everyone can create a business in a way that works for them and finding the way that works for me. So that was a big aha moment for me to realize this is the time to create something that is mine without looking at what everyone else is doing. So that was my big step 3. So now I'm going to stop the music and I'm going to get back to presenting. And I want to ask if anyone wants to share their, you don't have to share the whole step 1 and 2 because those are usually pretty, you know, kind of like self-explanatory when we go through all the happy emotions and things like that. But does anyone want to share their step 3? You're so quiet today. Everyone was booming in the chat yesterday and everyone's so quiet today. All right.
Shall I go?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. I can't even believe that I'm actually wording this out, because these are the exact fears and the exact bullshit that goes on in my head, right? Mm-hmm. So I started off with, I'm afraid I don't know where to start. That's the first one. Where the fuck do I start? How do I market myself? What do I actually do? How do I word my description of what I do, of it all, right? I don't have a clue how to sell myself. I don't like selling anything. So how the fuck am I going to sell myself? Like that's the stuff that goes on in my head.
Absolutely.
I put, oh, this thing with Facebook, because you were talking about Facebook. I'm like, I don't even want to go there. Like, I'm like, this idea in my head, this idea of putting myself out there and finding the words that would suit me, that would be authentic to me. That's the hardest bit, because every time I think of and I see how people market themselves, I'm like, I cannot do that. Like the finding the way that would suit me is the hardest. And right now, what I'm literally facing, the demon that I'm facing right now is just going to the freaking yoga studio that I go to and telling them that I want to do a workshop in there for Soma breathwork. And I'm like, just go, just do it. And I've got a block there. I have got a block there, right there.
Absolutely. And when I hear you say that, in my mind, the first thing that I think is, but it would be so easy to go to the yoga studio and then just have that conversation, right? But when I think that if it was me doing it, I'm like, okay, maybe I don't want to go to the yoga studio either and have that conversation. So those are the blocks that are very typical for step 3, right? And it's like, it's actually not, if you think about it, and this is the thing that I was going to talk about now, is like, if you think about it, it's not about the action, because anyone can go to any business and say, hey, can I rent a space from you? Hey, are you looking to expand your services? Hey, do you want to do that? That's a no-brainer, but it's that mindset that goes, but what if they don't need me? But what if they say no? But what if I feel rejected? But what if they don't like me? But what if they say yes, which is even worse? Oh my God, then now I have to execute and show up and do something about it. And I don't know if I can, right? So that's the conversation that goes on step 3. And it is more common than you think. So thank you so much, Gigs, for sharing that. So what I want to talk about right now, and I mentioned that in the previous slide, sorry, I just want to ask, is there anyone else who wants to share before I move on? I'm going to take that as a no. But anyway, so when talking about the creative cycle, number 3 is where your power resides, because when you master, and it's not even mastering your environment, it is mastering yourself. So that is when the growth happens. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to rephrase that. You can grow at any stage of the cycle. You're actually expanding when you're going through those beautiful emotions of something new, something exciting, something that, oh my God, this is going to benefit the world. This is my passion. You are expanding there, but you create bigger expansion for yourself when you're going through the hurdles of step 3, because you're challenging your own limitations of your own personality so that you can become somebody else. If you remember yesterday, we were talking about your personality creates your reality, right? It's all those beliefs that we were taught at an early age that are still playing in the background. And those are the things that are defining the experiences that we're having. But those limitations are shown to us every time that we start something new, hence the creative cycle. So creative doesn't mean creativity. Creative means creating something new, regardless of what that is. It could be an accounting business. It could be anything, right? But when you exercise your awareness in step 3, and rather than, oh my God, I'm so scared. Do I go to the yoga studio? Do I hit the live on Facebook? Do I post that post? Do I da-da-da? When you get that moment of awareness that you understand, wait, these fears that I'm feeling, these insecurities that I'm feeling, they're telling me that this is the stuff that I need to overcome so that I can become the person that now masters that, and I can move forward to step 4 and then start the cycle all over again. So it is here when we're going to face the addictions of the body and the addictions of the mind. If you remember, we were talking about that yesterday when we were mentioning that the body is addicted to the chemicals that the brain is emitting every time that we're experiencing any type of heightened emotion, right? Whether that's on the low scale of hate, anger, frustration, or on the higher scale of love, joy, happiness, and all those things. And the addictions of the mind. And the mind, we were talking, it's thoughts, right? I was giving you guys the example of my mom not being able to go more than 2 hours without criticizing my dad. She's so addicted to that hit, right? She's so addicted to everything wrong with the world is my dad's fault. And she just cannot stop herself. Even if she's not having the emotions, she's so quick to blurt it out that my dad is this and this and that, that's an addiction that she just clearly can't break or hasn't made the attempt to break. That's why, and you're going to hate me at the end of this, but I will keep saying the same thing. Awareness is dope. Awareness is your lifeline. Awareness is the thing to master here, because this is how it's going to go. Sometimes awareness is going to come in the way of like, oh, I reacted that way yesterday, or I reacted that way 2 days ago, and you're just being aware 2 days later. But having that awareness makes you think, next time that it happens, I'll be more alert. Or it can come in the moment that you're having the hit of that emotion, in the moment that you realize that the car is $40 and the train is $12 and you get that hit. It's in that moment that you go, oh, this is what's happening. I'm hitting something that I need to overcome right now, and you move forward. So either way, awareness is great, whether you react to it or not. It's giving you that window of opportunity to choose something different. And it is in that moment that you get to create that version of you. And again, it's the micro shifts that matter, right? It's not that, oh, I had this huge breakthrough during my walking meditation, or this seminar that I took, or this free workshop that this lady from South America was teaching. Sure, those are great, but it's the micro shifts when you decide, I am going to feel different about this right now. What can I do? And that's the how that we're going to go through tomorrow. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to stop what I'm going through and answer your questions. So now let's just talk about your personal thermostat, right? So this is what's going on in the background of the creative cycle. So if you're not aware of this is what's going on, and this is what's stopping you. So it's all based on the addictions, right? So you're so used to feeling the fear to do something new. You're so used to not showing up for yourself. And I mean, I'm not trying to dismiss anyone or to be condescending, because I've been there many times. And that's something that we all come up against ourselves. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, I mean, Oprah Winfrey, the most confident people in the world, they still get to go through those things. So this is a problem that we all face. So, the thermostat is set at the temperature that your addictions of the body and the mind are dictating. So that this is the emotional set that you practice most in average. So if you're someone who considers yourself angry, or someone who gets frustrated easily, or like my dear, beautiful, loving husband is the most impatient person in the world. So he gets so impatient about something. So that's the addiction that he has, and he just cannot break it. He actually thinks that impatience is great. Impatience creates change, he says, for him, because I don't know. But anyway, so that's gonna set your baseline for the temperature that your thermostat is set at. And that is the baseline that determines your personality, right? So if you're the person who is very quick to get angry when someone cuts you off in traffic, or if you're the person who reacts for no reason at all, or we all have a friend who's a drama queen, right? We all have that person that's just blowing things out of proportion when nothing else is happening. So that's the part that goes back to what we talked about yesterday about determining your relationship with money. That's where your thermostat is. Like, all those beliefs that are still manifesting in your life are what are going to set up your baseline when it comes to money and when it comes to how you behave in your business. So as a conscious creator, as someone who understands these concepts that we're talking about in these 3 days, and as you start practicing more and more and more of those concepts, your only job is to bring your baseline gradually higher and higher and higher. There's nothing that is going to happen from one day to the next, because you are addicted to those emotions, and you have to create new behaviors, new behaviors of feeling and new behaviors of thinking. That's when I was telling you that what I tell my clients always is, the work that we're doing is to retrain the body to feel different, and to retrain the mind to think different. Those two things, and the base for that is awareness. So your thermostat will always try to get you back to your default temperature. I hope you're seeing the connection here, because that's step 3. So you are addicted to thinking a certain way, to behaving a certain way, and to reacting a certain way. So when you have an amazing idea, step one of the creative cycle, you're feeling so fucking elated about this business idea that you just had. This is your passion. This is your jam. This is your thing. Step two, you execute, you feel great about it. Oh my God, I took action. Oh my God, I did it. Then you're elevating your thermostat right there, but because you're going a little too far from your baseline, you're just way too happy. That's when life says, oh, let me show you the things that you have to overcome so that you can keep moving in the direction of your dreams, bringing you back to the baseline, saying, these are the things that I'm lining up for you so that you can move through them in order for you to move forward. Is it making sense? I don't see all your beautiful faces, but let me know if it makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to assume that it does make sense because you guys are super quiet today. So the difference between the people who create a happy, successful life and those who don't is totally in the way that they react to step three and how they start retraining the thermostat to start to feel different, train the body to feel different, and to train the mind to think different. So the next thing that I want to talk about is clarity. And I know we talked a lot about clarity yesterday, and we went through the exercise about understanding where you are and getting clear about your new rules. We rewrote the rules of the game. We were feeling pretty good about our new relationship with money, but I'm here to tell you that the universe doesn't give a fuck about clarity. So this is something that I understood very clearly a couple of years ago. I was taking a program with one of my mentors, and oh, Nicole said, yes, thank you so much, Nicole. I'm just seeing the chat right now. And my mentor had just one slide, and in the middle of the slide, it just says, the universe rewards clarity. And he started explaining that the more clear that you are about what you want and the things that you want to create and the experiences that you want to have and the adventures and the business and yada, yada, the more clear that you are, the universe is going to reward that clarity and give you the stuff that you want. Is that true? It technically is, but it isn't, because there's no one sitting up there in heaven. I'm laughing so hard. What a comment, so funny, true. Well, it totally is. And this was a huge eye opener for me, because I used to be one of those person, and honestly, raise your hand if you feel identified with these. Oh, the universe is going to give me everything that I want. The universe has my back. Divine timing. Things are going to happen in divine timing. The universe, the universe, the universe. And it's like we're giving our power away to this fucking universe that no one even understands what it is. And that's what we're doing. We're just like, oh, the universe got my back. And no, the universe is responding to the way that you're emitting your signal. So whether you're clear or not, the universe is responding to you. So I heard someone the other day saying, oh, the universe is testing me. The universe isn't fucking testing you. The universe is returning back to you the shitty signal that you were emitting in the first place. And that's the thing that we really have to understand. So don't get me wrong. I've been the one, and I still do it. Oh, universe, the universe loves me, and the universe, sure, absolutely. But it is my job to understand where my energetic signature is. It is my job to keep recalibrating my thermostat higher and higher and higher. It is my job to decide in all those moments of awareness that we've been talking about who I want to be. And gigs, I'm just going to pick on you, but am I going to be the person who's afraid to go to the yoga studio and say, I want to do this workshop? Or am I going to be the person that's still scared shitless to go to the yoga studio, but I'm still going to go ahead and do it? You know, so it's like, sorry?
Part two, the second one.
Exactly. So it is how we're showing up, and it is in those micro shifts that we get to move in that direction, right? And that doesn't mean that Gigs is going to go tomorrow and be like, I feel no fear at all. I am super confident. I'm going to go to the yoga studio and do it. But is that pivoting, is that shifting of, what if this went right? What if I gave myself the chance to try something new? What if this worked for me? What if the universe actually had my back and gave a fuck about clarity, and this is going to give me everything that I want? It's just softening up the way that we're thinking. It's softening up the way that we're feeling, and we're the only ones that can do that. There's absolutely no one else that can do that for us. So the process of creating abundance is a very personal journey, very personal journey. When I asked you all yesterday to tell me what direction you had to go to California, everyone gave me a different answer, right? North, south, west, east, and I think there was Cynthia who said that she's already in California, so she won. But everyone starts in a different spot. No one is going to understand your own journey, but it is an act of radical responsibility about where you're being and who you're being regarding to every aspect of your life, right? So your energetic signature is not just one and done or something that you're going to be living and breathing 24 hours a day. It's going to vary. But as long as you are creating momentum in the right direction, so not going in the opposite direction to what you want, but in the direction towards the things that you want, then you're going to be creating more movement towards the thing that you want. Let me know. I wanna know in the chat if this is making if this is, I was gonna say making fun, if this is making sense. Kim, I don't know if you've left, but thank you. Yes, okay, Nicole, great. Wendy said, I feel like my purpose is to sit around and provide clarity instead of living my life myself. I totally get you, Wendy, because I still find myself trapped in that very feminine energy, right? And when I say feminine energy, I don't mean I'm a woman. I just mean that the yin and the yang that we all have, that I'm just going to relax, sit on my couch and do nothing, and then I'm just going to feel good, and the universe will provide, and it's going to be amazing, and I have to do nothing, right? So that is the thing that a lot of spiritual people and conscious creators come up against, right? That believe that I have to do nothing. Can you actually create a life by doing nothing? Absolutely, you can. However, we came here to experience the physicality of doing, and the physicality of adventures, and the physicality of doing work. That doesn't mean that we have to spend 8, 10, 15 hours sitting down and working, but that action that we're going to be executing, moving in the direction of our dreams, is going to be something pleasant. It's going to be something that is going to bring us a lot of joy. And that's the way that it's been for me in my journey. With a lot of hiccups when I hit step 3, but moving in the right direction nonetheless. So Wendy says, most excellent. I can totally relate and like this analysis. Okay, I'm glad that this is resonating with me, Wendy. I think you joined a little late, so you probably didn't hear, and you're gonna get the recording tomorrow anyway, so you can watch the replay and look at the slides that I was sharing. But I did that from my own experience of my process, because I kept thinking, why is it that I keep hitting a wall? I'm doing all the things. I'm doing all the things that I know. I'm reading all the books. I'm going through all these things, but I kept moving very slowly, and that was very frustrating. And I kept coming up against all those fears. Fear is one of the big physical and chemical addictions that my body has. So when I say that your body is addicted to all these emotions that you've been experiencing throughout your life, fear is mine. I get afraid. Like, to me, rollerblading, Wendy, I think you might have missed that example as well. Rollerblading was like the worst for me. I was just so scared to do it. And I still am. Like, every year when it comes summertime and it's time to get back on those rollerblades, I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? But then I eventually get back on the horse and do it. So with your energetic signature, when you practice your awareness more and more and more and widen this gap, you start to understand if you're moving in the right direction or not. Because once you understand the cycle of creativity, then you start to realize where you are in that cycle. And rather than going like, I'm so frustrated, I hate this, I'm finding no clients, this is bullshit, I don't want to do it, oh my God, this is terrible, you get that light bulb that says, wait, I'm in step 3. What's in it for me here? What is the perfection of this moment right here? And I have a little sticky note in my laptop that says, what's so amazing about this? And I posted that as a reminder for me, because every single moment that I'm having can be amazing. Even if I'm going through hell and going through crappy emotions, what's amazing about this moment is my awareness of it. I am now aware that something is not working. I am now aware that something's coming up for me to pay attention to, whether that's my fear, my frustration, my anger, my whatever that is. So it is in that moment of awareness that we go, okay, I'm going to master this no matter how long it takes. And rather than chickening out and rather than going back to, I'm not doing my business, I'm not showing up, I'm not doing these things, how can I talk myself into believing in my skills, my talents, and my abilities so that I can move forward? And that's the stuff that we're going to be talking about tomorrow. And if there are any questions, guys, I'm kind of forgetting to look at the chat. I don't see that there are a lot of questions in there, but if there's anything, let me know. And I promise I'll actually keep an eye on it. All right. So are you creating momentum towards what you want or towards what you don't want? And I want you to just take a minute to go through this slide. And I'm just going to play the music for a minute or two. And I want you to start thinking, this is not something that is in the worksheet. So you can write it down if you want, or you can just think about it as you're going through the exercise. But I want you to really put a hand on your heart and think how you feel about these three aspects of your business. So how do you feel about your business? And you can start right now. And I'm just going to keep talking to start giving you pointers and to see if any of my personal experience actually helps. So if you're thinking about your business, how does it feel? Does it feel hard? Does it feel challenging? Does it feel like a bad decision that you made? So regardless of how passionate you are about the idea of your business, be completely honest about any emotional charges, any emotional responses that are coming up. And one thing that I would encourage you to do is to keep going with this exercise after the call. It could be tonight or it could be tomorrow before we meet again, because this is something that is really going to let you know if you're creating this right type of momentum. And no answer is right or wrong. Actually, if you feel a lot of emotional charges in any one of these areas, just celebrate that something is coming to clarity. Just celebrate that something is coming into your awareness so that you can actually move forward with it. And that is the beautiful thing about step 3, right? It's showing you where you are and your limitations so that you can move forward. So now for clients, do you feel like you have to convince clients to work with you? Or do you feel empowered to be the right fit for them? Do you see clients as a dollar sign? A lot of us tend to do that. Clients equal money instead of clients equal service and fulfillment and passion. And that's a very clear distinction that I make with my clients, because it's two separate things. A client is a person that we're serving, and money is just a resource that comes to us. But in the entrepreneurial world, we tend to combine the two. And it's obvious why, but what I want to make sure is that you understand that you want to have clients because you love serving your clients, not because they represent dollars to you. Dollars can come to you in any other way. Nicole says, I feel both exciting and challenging. Absolutely, and I completely understand how you're feeling, Nicole. And I think the key here is to decide which one of the two you're going to feed. Are you going to feed the excitement, or are you going to feed the challenge? 100% clients, Katie. I know. And I remember this was actually one of my coaches that told me that, like, she made that very clear distinction for me that, well, why do you want clients? Well, because I want money. And she paused and said, really? And then I thought, no, you know what? And Katie, you and I went through this exercise when we talked about how you want to feel with your clients, like what's the relationship that you want to nurture with your clients, right? And it has nothing to do with money. It's about serving someone, going through the transformation, helping them with their awareness, seeing their blind spots, and making sure that they move through the other side. Nothing to do with money. Wendy says, my Mine are most often external reactions from others. Oh God, we're not there yet. The world isn't ready. You're on the bleeding edge. Got it. I'm demotivating others and I'm overwhelming and I should relax. I totally get it. And that, if you think about it, is just all in the way that you're thinking. There's absolutely nothing else that is happening. It's just the way that you're thinking. Correct. And now let's just move really quickly. I don't want to take a lot of your time. It's already 5:25, but I think that we're still pretty good. Your own abilities. So do you feel talented enough to be doing what you're doing? Or do you suffer from imposter syndrome? Do you know the problem you're solving for your clients? Are you clear in how you're solving that problem? And that's something that stops a lot of people too, right? And gigs, just going back to the example that you shared at the beginning, like your personal experience right now, right? Like what problem are you solving? What demographic of the population are you serving? What is it that you're doing with them? So it's all those things that we tend to get into our heads a little too much, thinking, am I the right person to do this? Is there like really me? Someone going to hire me? Why would someone pay money for me when I am free for all my friends and my family members? Like, why would someone write me a check? Like we all go through these, right? And this is not unique to one of us. Casey says imposter syndrome for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that shows up a lot, Casey, when you're showing up to the world, right? When I don't know what kind of business you have or how you do your marketing or promo, but if you're someone who's showing up on social media, that comes out a lot in there. Like, do I post this? I sound like I'm bullshitting someone. I don't know. This doesn't sound real. It's all those things that we go through, right? So again, I'm an illustrator that does about everything. So marketing myself is really difficult. I hear you. And that's good to know that you're an illustrator, because someone was just asking me about that. So I encourage you to go over this list in detail tonight, because I'm not going to spend too much time over it. This is just, I think it's already brought a lot of awareness in a lot of us to realize where we are, right? So when you take that mixed bag of emotions and thoughts and feelings that you're having about these very broad areas of your business, this is going back to the slide when we were talking about the personal thermostat, right? This is when you go, oh, if this is how I feel about these, and you already have your sheet about money, if this is how I feel about these, then this is the energetic signature that I'm sending out into the world about my business, and that's why I'm getting the results that I'm getting. So having that awareness is going to be priceless as you move through the process of creating something more. And shifting that, I was telling you guys yesterday, it doesn't have to be that difficult. It just takes two things. And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow, but it takes literally two things. It takes consistency, which, believe me, a lot of people don't have, and focus. So you think you're focused, but if your consistency isn't there, you're not going to get there. So I'll give you a quick example. A few years ago, I think it was 2019, I decided that I was going to learn to brush my teeth with the left hand. I'm right-handed. And I started, and it was so difficult. I hurt my mouth and my gums so many times, like hitting my gums with my toothbrush. And I always had to finish with my right hand, because I'm like, I did a crappy job. I need to polish up with the right hand just to make sure that my teeth are clean. But I persisted. And the only reason I'm going to tell you why I persisted, because this wasn't a deal breaker for me. I am perfectly fine using my right hand, but I had one of my best friends diagnosed with ALS, and she was losing the capacity to move her limbs, and she was already in a wheelchair. So I decided I'm just going to honor her, and she was left-handed. So I'm just going to honor her and do something that I know she would love to do on her own. But she can't do it anymore. She can't brush her teeth. And I persevered, and now it's been close to 3 years since I've brushed my teeth with my left hand exclusively. There's been a couple of occasions that I brush my teeth with my right hand, and that's mostly when I'm drunk and I forget. I just brush my teeth with the right hand and then I go to bed. But anyway, so that, and by the way, getting to a point that it was an automatic response to grab the toothbrush with my left hand, it took me about a year. So when people say that a habit takes 21 days to form, I'm not saying that's bullshit, but I'm kind of calling bullshit on that, because it takes a lot of practice to actually master a habit. And Casey, I actually started doing that because of the same reason with my friend, but I gave up on that one because I was finding that it was taking me too long to practice. So I usually brush my teeth in like under 2 minutes, right? But with the writing, it was more, and I'm like, okay, fuck it, I don't know if I want to do this. And I didn't do that, but I did start. And it took me about a year to actually master brushing my teeth with the left hand. And when I mean master, I mean that it is my left hand that reaches for the toothbrush, because there was many times that I would reach with my right hand and go, oh, right, no, it's still, and change. So it's that consistency of retraining and reparenting yourself to think something different, to pivot into something different, and retrain your body to feel something different. All right. So your energetic signature is who you're embodying in various aspects of your life, your signal. So that's the thing that we were talking about. So your energetic signature is going to vary in different areas of your life. So it might be something for your business. It might be something for the area of clients. It might be something different for the area of relationships. But when you understand who it is that you're embodying, so if you're having those fears, if you're having those frustrations, if you're having those moments of, I don't know what I'm doing right now, that's the stuff that is going to give you the awareness so that you can shift. So when we're talking about these, it is your energetic signature that is dictating the results that you're getting in your 3D reality, right? So the lack of clients, or the lack of results because your clients might drop, or you're not attracting the right type of client, and you're attracting people who are wishy-washy or can't really afford you, and they really want to work with you. And so those are the mixed signals that you're sending out. And remember that the universe doesn't give a shit about clarity. The universe is responding to that energetic signature that you're sending. So action and strategy should be the culmination of a squeaky clean energetic signature. I'm going to say that one more time. Action should be the culmination of a squeaky clean energetic signature. And that's when you find out that life starts to change, and you start to see different things. And sometimes it's not even seeing the results in the 3D. It's just the way that you start to feel. And the more consistent that you get into those feelings, the more that you know that you're in the right direction before anything else shows up. So think about that day in the life, and how many times you're either thinking about money or reacting to money. So like bills, groceries, unexpected expenses, or whatever is not working in your business, right? Like we're so habituated to contemplate those thoughts. And sometimes it shows in the most insignificant things. So I'll give you one tiny example. This happened about a month ago. I was writing an email to someone that I do a lot of work with. And as I'm sending that email, the thought that popped in my head is, it's going to take forever for him to get back to me, because he never gets back to me. And I already felt the frustration without the guy even getting my email yet. And then I had to stop myself in that moment of awareness and go, wait, is this how I really want to show up? Is this who I really want to embody right now? The person who's frustrated, anticipating an outcome before this person even reads my email. And that sounds absolutely insignificant in the big scheme of things, but it is about the micro shifts that we've been talking about. So by me shifting the expectation of someone not paying attention to my important email and getting back to me, I softened up that I was thinking, and I just said to myself, I am heard, I am valued, I am important. And I shifted that a little bit. And that's the work. It's not about, oh, well, now he's going to reply fast to me because I changed my vibration. No, it's just tending to that energetic signature that you're putting out into the world. So embodying a new energetic signature requires practice, and that's the consistency that I was telling you about. So think about Casey learning to write with her less dominant hand. Think about me brushing the teeth, right? It's not just like, I'm gonna brush my teeth with my left hand once a week and see what happens. I'm gonna brush my teeth with the left hand once a day and see what happens. When every single time that I brush my teeth, I was practicing. And sometimes I caught myself mid brushing, oh shit, this is the right hand, switch, and just pivot, 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 and that's what's going to get you there. So just like the rollerblading example, riding a bike, driving a car, even learning how to walk, the baby story that we were going through before, it is consistency and focus that will make you or break you. And this is the work in step 3. So step 3 is just a couple of things. Become aware that you are in step 3. Become aware that you're coming up against those limitations. Get back into the focus of what you want, and then be consistent about it and repeat. That's the work. But that is the most challenging things for humans, because we're not very focused and we're very, very inconsistent. But I'm telling you, those 2 things were the things that completely turned my life and my business around, because I kept thinking, what am I doing wrong? I'm doing all the things. I'm doing the meditations. I'm doing these things. And why am I not getting results? But it was those 2 things. The minute that I decided I am going to start documenting my process and becoming my own science experiment, that I started to experience shifts. Okay, so let's just go really quickly through Socratic questioning. So this is, we're going to go through more of this tomorrow, but I wanted to give you a quick run through this, because this is something that's been very, very helpful for me. So Socratic questioning is basically used to encourage anybody to question those thoughts and those behaviors that you were taught, and to look beyond the obvious, right? So, and this is very important, and this is something that when I learned it, it made me see my own thoughts in a very different light. So the meaning that you give an event is the belief that attracted it. So the meaning that you give an event is the belief that attracted it. So what that means is, when you start, you have a thought, right? I'm gonna pick on gigs again, even if she's not on camera, but I'm afraid to go to that yoga studio. That's the thought. You question that thought. What does that mean? What am I making it mean? And then you go through to the answers to that. So in the case of gigs, it could be, I'm afraid of rejection. But why are you afraid of rejection? Because I don't know if I bring enough value to the table. And why do you think you're bringing enough value to the table? Because I've never done this. I'm new in business and I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. Why do you feel like that? Because I haven't had enough experience on that. And why do you feel like that way? Because I haven't had any clients that way yet. And why do you think you haven't had any clients that way? Because I'm not good enough. And you just keep going down until you can't go any farther. And that last one, so the meaning that you're giving that event is the belief that attracted it. And once you get to that, then you can start thinking the opposite, right? So if you're not good enough, what's the opposite of that? Well, I am good enough. I'm actually changing the world. I'm actually doing wonderful things for people. I'm actually creating transformation. I'm actually a light in this world and an inspiration to many. So it's getting to that very logical point of view, that rather than believing any type of thought that crosses the mind. So when we were looking at everyone's comments, I think imposter syndrome was a big one. So you go through that question, it's like, why do I feel that I'm just not who I'm saying I am? That's basically what imposter syndrome is, right? I'm showing a face to the world that is not really me. So why do I feel like that? And just keep going down to the belief that created it. And once you get to that belief, it is so much easier to shift, because your mind is already conditioned to, maybe this isn't true. Maybe there's something else to it that I'm not getting. All right, so let me know if that makes sense, because Socratic questioning is something that I use a lot in my own life, but even more with my clients, because it really brings like a flashlight, like a spotlight on things that you were not considering before, right? So for me, the bigger one that I've been talking about is, I can't afford that. But once I put that light on it, it's like, is that really true? Well, no, it is. I mean, it is true for some things. Like, I mean, I'm not buying 3 boats and 4 airplanes right now, but can I afford that more expensive bottle of wine? Well, yes, I can. That I probably don't choose to spend that money. That's a completely different story, but I can afford it. And just makes me think about what I'm thinking, and makes me dismiss my own thinking, which is a very healthy practice to have. So do you remember this slide from yesterday? So rewriting the rules and changing the story. So yesterday we rewrote the rules of our relationship with money. We were viewing money as a person, as a very intimate relationship, and we felt cared for, safe, provided for. Money is my best friend. Money is that amazing lover that I want to have. Money is this beautiful, beautiful resource that is here for me. So it's in step 3, and after you do your Socratic questioning, that you decide, this is what I want to believe, and go back to your rules of, this is how my relationship with money is, this is how my relationship with business is, and this is how my relationship with myself regarding my talents and my skills is. So let me know, guys, if that's making sense. I'm just keeping an eye on the chat, and let me know if you have any questions, because we're just pretty much done right now. Okay, I'm just reading Wendy's comment. Everyone brings value. Everyone is looking for talent and knowledge in their field. If you keep up to date on industry knowledge and network and impress by adding value to people ASAP, they'll appreciate it. Absolutely. Even when people have lots of experience, competitors or those looking for unconscionable deals will seek to degrade and devalue you, take advantage. That's always going to happen in the world. It's just the way that you react to it that is going to make a huge difference. You need to make your presence value right away and maintain by thinking defensively and adversarially, in my humble opinion. Mentors, sponsors, and managers can be your marketing tools in different ways, via promotion, cheerleading, and advocating for you, and upskilling as required, making others feel comfortable and value with, provide your partners too. Just my 2 cents about imposter feelings and adding value without experience. Absolutely. I agree with you on that. And thank you for sharing, because that's very, very valuable. Oh, thank you so much, Wendy. I do my best. I think that one of the things that has helped me more in my process is to be, and I've said it before, my own science experiment. Is not observing things and getting too involved and attached and identified by my emotions. It's just more like looking from a different lens, thinking, this is how she is feeling, and I'm just observing the way that she's feeling, and how can I help her, talking about me to me, how can I help her shift and see things from a very different angle. So that's what's helped me the most in that. So I'm gonna close it right here, right now, and I'm just gonna talk about what's coming up tomorrow, because tomorrow is gonna be a very, very interesting day. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking about how we put it all together, right? So we now know our very intimate relationship with money. We now know our energetic signature for our business and for money, and if we're creating the right type of momentum. So what we're going to be talking about tomorrow is, how do we actually function with all this information on a day-to-day basis? Because this is the stuff that for me was missing. I understood all the theory. I understood all of it. Raise your vibration, raise your frequency, and match the vibration, and yada, 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 fucking bullshit. I understood all of it. But when I started to understand, okay, what do I do with this? What do I do with this information? How do I respond to the circumstances that are coming to me? How do I become greater than my environment so that I can actually move on in the world? So that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. It's not difficult at all. It's just a matter of focus and consistency. So I'm just going to ask you one more time before I go, if anyone has any questions. I guess not. I get everything is clear. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it at that, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for showing up for yourselves. This is, for me, you're very welcome, Nicole. Very welcome, Wendy. This is my passion, and I wouldn't be doing this if I hadn't found the transformation that has turned my life completely around. So I really thank you for your time, for being here. And I really would love for you to thank yourselves for being here, because if you take these practices in your daily life, you absolutely, without 1 ounce of a doubt, will find transformation in your own lives. And you're gonna, it's not gonna take that long. It's not gonna take you a year to brush your teeth with the left hand. It's gonna be something way faster than that, and way more rewarding than just brushing your teeth. So I thank you all, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye. Thanks, Isabel. Great job.
Bye-bye. I'll see you guys tomorrow.